even though I'm sitting in the dais, actually, I am looking at all of you in such a high esteemed position. It's my extreme good luck and fortune that I'm sitting in this place. And I want to thank Chitra Bharati people and especially the organizers. I'm deeply indebted to you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, please ask.
నమస్తే సార్.
Namaste.
సార్ నా పేరు రామకృష్ణ అండి. నేను తెనాలి నుంచి వచ్చాను. ఒక తెలుగువాడిగా మిమ్మల్ని ఇక్కడ కలుసుకోవడం నాకు ఎంతో ఆనందంగా ఉంది.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
మీరు ఓకే సార్. ఐ కెన్ nowadays every upcoming writer wants it's complicate to accomplish with industry. Old writers is going, but new talent is it hard to came new industry. What is your suggestions about the younger stars to easily approach డైరెక్టర్స్ ఆర్ ప్రొడ్యూసర్స్? అదే సార్, కొత్త వాళ్ళు రావడానికి తేలిక మీరు ఎలా?
Let me tell you one thing regarding the cinema field. Cinema field never welcomes anyone, nor asks anybody to go out. It is for us to make a struggle and have an entry. Fortunately, with the technology what we are having, it's very easy to convey your talent. If you have a talent, you have just an Android phone, make a short film, put it on the YouTube. Several people like that in Andhra Pradesh, they have become directors just making a short film. They never went from door to door for a chance. It's very easy. Only thing you should have the imagination. It's not expensive also. Just a few thousand rupees you can make a movie with your just friends. Use your imagination. That's the best bet. It works. Please. Yeah, good evening.
So the first thing that we notice about your films are the scale in which they are made. You know, starting from Ega to Bahubali, Bajrangi Bhaijaan. So how far is writing a part of that scale? You know, how do you imagine that the film is going to be made in such a big scale, or it is up to the director when it goes to him that the script? Then he imagines that I'll make it to a bigger scale. What is your take on the scale in which your films are made?
No, I always imagine that scale only. I always mean that big scale. I don't go for...
He is making only big scale movies.
Big scale movies.
Not small movies. So if he is writing a movie, then it has to be a big scale.
नमस्कार सर.
Yeah.
सर इधर नहीं, मेरा सवाल वो ट्रांसलेट कर देंगे. सर, आपने अपनी फिल्म में दिखाया कि हीरोइन के जब ऊपर कोई हाथ डालने की कोशिश करता है तो हीरो ही कहता है कि उसका सर कलम कर देना चाहिए. लेकिन आज के समय में दिन दहाड़े महिलाओं के साथ बहुत सारी ऐसी घटनाएं हो जाती हैं, लेकिन महिलाएं उसके खिलाफ आवाज़ नहीं उठा पाती, जबकि पहले ऐसा नहीं होता था. इसके लिए आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
There is one thing. There is a law. I mean, there is a law written by the government. But there is a heart. Heart says, maar do unko, abhi bhi. If somebody plays with the modesty of a girl, don't spare him. Don't spare him. That's what the heart says. But unfortunately, the land of the law says, you can't take law into your hand. But as a writer, that's what I feel. No girl should be modest, should be insulted. No person has got the right to insult the modesty of a girl.
आप समझ
That's what
पाए
I feel
आंसर?
right now also.
मतलब आपके जब यदि रियल लाइफ के अंदर यदि आपका मॉलेस्टेशन होता है तो आपका दिल तो बोलता है कि इसकी हत्या कर दें, लेकिन देश का कानून और परिस्थितियां आपको ऐसा करने से रोकती है, इसलिए आप कुछ नहीं कर पाते हैं. लेकिन फिल्म में आपको ये लिबर्टी ले सकते हैं कि जो आपके दिल में आता है वो फिल्म में दिखा दो. अपने को लग रहा है कि इसको हत्या करनी तो कर ही डालो फिर.
Sir, I first of all like to congratulate you everyone for making such an epic saga movie. It not just has, I think, glorified our South India, but it has given a great name for our nation as a whole. It's a brilliant movie. So the basic question about script writing here would be, it's such a big movie that you make. So where do you really start penning the script? Is it from the beginning, somewhere in the middle, or the end? Because every scene has so much of beauty in it that it is difficult. We just want to know that how do you really start, mid or end, or the beginning? And there are so many conflicts in the movie, and you resolve each conflict strategically. So just that technical aspect of it.
In the beginning, my son, he was directing the movie.
Anyone else?
He asked me, Father, I want a story. It should be a costume drama. My son likes to picturize fights, action sequences. Any action sequence should be with emotion, not just fight for the sake of the fight. So the conditions he asked me was, I want strong woman characters. They should not be sissies. I don't want any girls going around the trees. Just to sing duets with the hero. They should lead the story. They should lead the story. Second thing what he asked was, I want grey characters. Grey characters means good people sometimes turn bad, bad people sometimes turn good. These are the parameters he has given. Then I don't know from where it struck me that Kattappa character came to me first. I narrated the character to him. The way I narrated was, there's a very old man teaching sword play to young people. A foreigner came. He wondered, oh, you are such a great swordsman. I don't, there's no one in India to match you. Then the Kattappa said, haven't you heard of Bahubali? The foreigner said, who is Bahubali? I never heard of him. Then Hiram says, oh, he's a great, great warrior. He was such a great warrior, nobody was ever able to make a stick on his body. Whenever he fights, he kills the other person. But nobody can hurt him. Nobody can even touch him with a sword. Then guy got impressed. I want to see him. Where is he? Then Kattappa said, he's no more. He's dead. Kaisa? In a war. You said nobody can touch you with a sword. How is it possible? Then he said, backstab is more powerful than a sword stab. I backstabbed him. That's a character I told him. He liked it. I could see the spark in his eye. And the second scene, next day, what I told him was, a mother with a child. She's wading a river. Suddenly the river started growing up. She didn't have, she couldn't swim with a single child in her hand. Then she lifted her hand with the child up. Even she submerged with the firm determination that the child should be saved. The second scene I told him, he liked them. So he asked, Father, please make a story around, I have told him couple of more incidents. None of them are connected. He asked me, write a story connecting all these incidents. That's how it started.
आप लोग ये चाहते हैं कि जो क्वेश्चन और आंसर का मैं ट्रांसलेट करूं हिंदी में या यू आर ऑल अंडरस्टैंडिंग इट समझ में आ रहा है ओके
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, I would like to know the process of your entire script writing and how much research contributes in it and how much command or mythology contributes in it.
वही तो पिछला क्वेश्चन था जिसका इन्होंने आंसर दिया
Sir, the gradual step, some persons say that we need the visuals, some say that, okay, the research input, how much time you invest on this research, here only, sir.
I am blessed because from my childhood, my mother encouraged me in reading Ramayana and Mahabharata and all the Puranas. And you can see the shades of all the characters in my Bahubali. You can see the shades of Kaikeya. Because Kaikeyi, she loved Ram like anything more than Bharat. But because of circumstances, because Mandara has poisoned mind, she asked Ram to be sent to the Vanvas, hoping that we die also, so that her son can become the king. You can see the shades of Sevagami. You can see the shades of Bhishma in Kattappa. Kattappa is a very powerful person, but is bound by loyalty to that throne. So knowing pretty well that Anyaya is going to happen, is helpless. Similarly, you can see the shades of Sekuni in Bijal Deva. And in Bhallal, you can see the shades of Ravan and Duryodhan. We cannot escape from the influence. Unfortunately, for us, we are blessed with such a vast literature, or Puranas. We can be proud of our heritage. Because no other nation, no other country, no other religion has this much of a heritage. It's our biggest asset. So my sincere advice to you, just stop seeing movies, read our Puranas, read our Ithihasas, read our great people. That will give you unending source of material, unending source of material. You know, George Bernard Shaw was a very great writer. He happened to read Mahabharata. He said, oh, it happened, wonderful. If it's not happened, my hats off to the writer who has written it. It's not a joke. Hundreds and hundreds of characters are created with each and everything etched with in-depth characterizations. And Mahabharata doesn't go in linear way. It goes in flashback, forward, backward, forward. So please study Mahabharata, study Ramayana. You'll have wonderful characterizations.
हेलो सर सर मेरा क्वेश्चन हिंदी में आप प्लीज़ ट्रांसलेट कर दीजिएगा सर मैंने कभी स्क्रिप्ट राइटिंग नहीं की है लेकिन मैं चाहता हूँ स्क्रिप्ट राइटिंग करना तो सर उसके बेसिक्स क्या हैं हमें क्या पैरामीटर होने चाहिए हम कैसे उसको स्टार्ट करें प्लीज़ सजेस्ट करिए कुछ
स्टोरी लिखना बोले तो पहले झूठ बोलना समझना you have to practice telling lies. झूठ बोलना सीखिए स्टोरी अपने आप आ जाए
सर मैं काल्पनिक स्टोरियाँ लिखता हूँ
नहीं स्टोरी का मतलब क्या है फिक्शन इट्स नॉट हैपन सो झूठ है झूठ बोलना सीखिए
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
I'm right here in the center. Sir, whenever we see historical dramas or whenever we see reality dramas, there are two terms that are a matter of conflict. That is distortion of facts and that is creative freedom. So what is the difference between the two and how should we go about taking into consideration both of them whenever we are writing a script?
No, what did you say?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, sir. So whenever we see historical dramas or whenever we see some reality dramas as well, there are two things to be taken care of. One is creative freedom of the director or the writer, and the second is the distortion of facts that are a matter of concern these days. So whenever we are writing a script, how should we take care of these two things, and so that they are not tangling, but they are taken care of as well. So what is the difference between the two, and how should we take care of them?
Yes, in our movies, you can see different classifications. There are documentaries, there are docudramas, and there are story movies. In a documentary, you cannot change anything except as written and as recorded. But in docudrama, you dramatize the things. You dramatize. Suppose you have to tell the story of a person. He is a doctor. He has treated 100 patients in his life. You can't keep on showing 100. He has treated 100 patients. Even there is a fact. So you have to dramatize. You have to distill the entire thing into a 1 or 2 minute sequence. By dramatizing, you can do it. But you should never distort the facts. You should never. You can dramatize them. You can take liberty. But don't distort.
हेलो सर हेलो सर मैं हिंदी में बात करूंगा प्लीज़ आप ट्रांसलेट कर दीजिए
He understands a little bit of Hindi, so otherwise
yes, sir.
I'll translate.
हेलो सर मेरा सवाल थोड़ा टेक्निकल है मैं खुद एक फिल्म मेकर हूँ राइटर हूँ मुझे ये सवाल पूछना है कि फिल्म का लिखने का एक प्रोसेस स्टोरी देन स्क्रीन प्ले देन डायलॉग ऐसा आता है आपका खुद का क्या स्टाइल होता है प्रोसेस होता है मैंने ऐसे भी लोगों से सुना है कि वो एक साथ एक ही टाइम पे सब स्टोरी स्क्रीन प्ले और डायलॉग लिखते हैं बट आपसे मुझे ये जानना है कि आपकी प्रोसेस क्या होती है
You see, there is no clear distinction between a story, screenplay, and dialogue. They are intermingled, they are overlap. When you're thinking of a story, automatically the screenplay comes. Whenever your characters have to talk, the key dialogues automatically come into your mind. So there is no clear-cut distinction. A good writer does stories, screenplay, dialogues also. Absolutely, there is no classification as such that.
समझे आप देर इज नो हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल आप जब स्टोरी लिखना शुरू करते हैं तो स्क्रीन प्ले और डायलॉग आपके मन में बनते जाते हैं तो कई बार कोई अच्छी चीज़ दिमाग में आ जाती है डायलॉग के रूप में तो वो आप साइड में लिख लेते हैं कई बार उसका स्क्रीन प्ले का विजुअलाइजेशन भी उसी समय हो जाता है तो वो दोनों तीनों चीज़ें साथ साथ चलती है बट स्टेप वही है पहले स्टोरी देन स्क्रीन प्ले देन डायलॉग को सर आई वांट टू आस्क वन क्वेश्चन इन विच लैंग्वेज यू राइट योर स्क्रिप्ट ओरिजिनल स्क्रिप्ट तेलुगु और इंग्लिश
In fact, I don't write, sir. My writing is very bad. I just narrate it.
Okay. So you dictate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So dictate in which language?
No, of course, mostly in Telugu because
Mostly Telugu.
because Bhajarangi Bhaijan and Manikanika was studying in part English, part Hindi.
Good evening, sir. Hey.
Ji.
This is Sakib, sir, from MCU Noida campus. Sir, up to what extent do you agree that nowadays script writers like you are getting more appreciation? Like in earlier days, in South cinema, it's only Rajnikant sir. In the 70 mm cinema or in Hindi, there's Amitabh Bachchan. So nowadays, how do you feel that people are recognizing your work, script writers' work, more as compared to earlier days?
Let me tell you an interesting anecdote. When I was writing Bhajarangi Bhaijan, Mr. Salman Khan called me to his house. I met Salim sir there. I'm a big fan of Salim sir because I learned a lot by seeing the movies of Salim and Javed. Then I expressed, sir, you are my guru. I am your Reaklave Sisha. Then he asked me, Mr. Prasad, how much my son is giving you? The amount for Bhajarangi Bhaijan. I said, so no, that talks have not started. Then he said, you charge 1 rupee more than what my son takes. Then I accept you my Sisha. I said, how is it possible, sir? Then he told me an anecdote. After Devar, our producer came, asked him to write a story. Then Salim sir asked him, who is the hero? He said, Amitabh Bachchan. Then he asked, how much you are paying Amitabh Bachchan? He quoted price X. Then Salim sir said, you pay me 1 rupee plus X. Then I'm going to write the story. Then producer said, how a writer can be paid 1 rupee more than the hero? Sorry, for this particular story, I have already written. It's only 1 rupee plus Amitabh Bachchan, then only I will give it. The producer refused, but subsequently sold it for another producer. For Mr. Amitabh Bachchan as a hero, for 1 rupee more than what Mr. Amitabh has charged. He's great. I mean, he's great. But no writer has achieved that status. Some writer has achieved the status we can call. We are recognized.
जो स्क्रिप्ट राइटर का रिकॉग्निशन शुरू हुआ था उसके लिए जो सबसे बड़े पहली बार स्क्रिप्ट राइटर कौन है और उनका इम्पोर्टेंस क्या है, ये सलीम जावेद से शुरू हुआ था. जब सलीम जावेद की दीवार और जंजीर सुपरहिट हुई थी, उसके बाद लोगों को लगने लगा था कि सलीम जावेद मतलब स्क्रिप्ट राइटर में भी कोई चीज़ होना चाहिए.
Nobody has reached that stardom. Nobody.
सर के हिसाब से अभी भी सलीम जावेद जो हैं उसके स्टेटस तक कभी सर भी नहीं पहुंच पाए, ऐसा इनकी विनम्रता से कहना है.
Sir, it was surprising to see a director and a script writer to advise stop watching films and start reading Purans. But sir, my take was, in recent times we have seen many examples where movies made in South and in native languages have been adopted by Bollywood and has been remade in Hindi. So what are your opinions about Bollywood? Is this can be termed as phasing out of creativity from Bollywood? And what were the reasons behind adoption and what Bollywood has to learn from the movie industry from South? Thank you.
First of all, let us start saying Indian cinema rather than Bollywood, as we learned from Subhaji.
There are two questions which you asked. There are two questions. The first thing is, why I asked you to read books instead of seeing movies. When you see a movie, you see a scene. That is a scene. Excuse me. When you see a movie, it is there. But when you read a book, it is your imagination. You say, a person has come, he caught hold of a lion, he fought with it, he killed it. Every person imagines according to his capacity. Your imagination capacity grows by seeing movies, by reading books. If you keep on seeing movies, your imagination will come down. It's a fact, please believe me. Second thing, there's a thing like South is good and North is not good, North is South is not good. The exchange of movies are going from the very beginning of the movies. So many hundreds of Hindi movies are remade in South languages. So many hundreds of Southern languages are remade in Hindi movies. So wherever the content is good, people try to grab it and remake it again. So there are good writers in each and every language.
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम योगेश अग्रवाल है, मैं छत्तीसगढ़ से हूँ. सर, आपने जो बजरंगी भाईजान फिल्म बनाई है
जी,
उसमें आपने राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ को दिखाया है, वहाँ की शाखा को दिखाया है, और बजरंगी भाईजान के पिताजी को स्वयं संघ का स्वयंसेवक दिखाया है। आपकी उसके पीछे क्या सोच थी और आपने क्यों उसको दिखाया?
When I actually wrote the story, what I thought was he's a Ram Bhakt. His thing, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram, Jai Sri Ram. He tells everything. Because I made it recently, a person who says Jai Sri Ram, if he goes to Pakistan, you can imagine the type of situations he'll face there. I want to make his journey tough. Subsequently, when you are developing the story, naturally, who is the person who always says Jai Sri Ram, who is always Ram is my God? Naturally, he should be an RS. That's how it got developed.
Sir, my question a bit technical. So how do you decide the plot point 1, plot point 2, and the setting up the story and the confrontation of the main character, and how it is different from, he is different from the major characters, and then final the conclusion of the movie. And so these three parts the movie can be divided into. So how do you make it, how ideas come to you in your mind so that, when we see a movie, we see in a complete sequential way. Every minute is decided, but how do the ideas come, and how do you fill the every minute of the movie using these necessary steps to follow? Thank you.
So generally, any story starts with an idea, or sometimes with a character, or sometimes with a twist. Most of the things, that's how it happens. When you get a character, it's wonderful. How the character would behave in other circumstances. If suppose you create a strong character, I mean, you cannot keep on going with the strong character. You should have some flaws. You should have some limitations. What could be the limitations? That's how we keep on thinking. But whenever I write a story, first I'll think the climax. What is the climax? When once I know the climax, I know how my journey should be. Because when you start from the house, unless you know to which place you are going, your journey will be very erratic. You should decide which is to go into climax, and then you can keep on devising ways which are the most interesting way to go to that point. That's how I decide my stories.
सर मैं रायपुर छत्तीसगढ़ से हूँ, सुहास बंसुड़ नाम है मेरा। मैंने एक फ़िल्म बनाई है, पंटर, शॉर्ट फिल्म है 19 मिनट 40 सेकंड्स की, जिसमें 39 कास्टिंग है। वो फिल्म काफ़ी लोगों ने देखा तो वो कह रहे हैं कि इस फिल्म को फीचर फिल्म में कन्वर्ट करो, लेकिन मैं उस फीचर फिल्म में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल नहीं ला पा रहा हूँ कि उसकी स्क्रिप्ट को और कैसे लंबा ले जाऊँ, और कैसे मैं ब्लॉक हो गया वहाँ पर, क्योंकि काफ़ी लोग बोल रहे हैं कि इस फिल्म को और थोड़ा बड़ा करेंगे तो फीचर फिल्म पे कन्वर्ट हो सकती है, छत्तीसगढ़ी भाषा में, रीजनल लैंग्वेज। बस वो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल कैसे बिल्टअप करूँ वो मुझे आपसे चाहिए सर।
He made a short film, and that film is complete. And the people who have seen that short film, they feel that it should be a feature film. The script can be extended so that the film can become a feature film. But he said that he is not able to develop that kind of confidence to convert that short film into feature film. What should he do?
Unfortunately, because I have not seen your film, I will not be able to answer. But kindly send your film to me. Is it on YouTube? Yes, sir. Is it on YouTube? Please give me the link. I will see it and revert it to you.
How much is the cost of film Bahubali, and what is the source of recovery?
I think
this is not a question to ask.
I mean, I can give a rough estimate. I think both the parts together they cost around 300 crores. Around. I don't have exact figures. Around 300 crores.
The business is 1,800.
I mean, that's a gross figure. But they made good money. Producer made good money.
Sir, I must appreciate you not only for a very, very good script, but also for a very good marketing strategy. Because normally we think that the first original film is always good and the sequel is not that good as compared to the original film. In the history of cinema, I should say, nobody waited for a sequel like Bahubali 2 because you managed to keep the secret कि बाहुबली को कटप्पा ने क्यों मारा. How did you manage to keep that secret for almost 2 years, and it was a worry of whole of India. So how did you manage it?
God's grace, sir. Nothing more than that. Believe me, sir, we were having a tenterhooks We are making 2 parts. Suppose first part fails, the producer will be on the roads, literally on the roads. Nobody will purchase second part. And we know that at least 1 year gap. We never expect 2 years gap. We know that 1 year gap, how to sustain the interest. Bhagwan faith करके कर दिया हमें.
So are we expecting Bahubali 3 also?
No, sir, no. Maybe one of the energetic people will do Bahubali 3 and 4. I hope it becomes.
Good evening, sir. Sir, we had saw many blockbuster Indian movie on terrorism like Roja and Machis. But in 50 years, why we couldn't get a blockbuster on Naxal problem? What you see in the reason behind this slap?
Naxal problem?
Yeah.
There
We had not get a blockbuster movie on box office
No, there are
as a
several,
Naxal problem.
There are several movies in Telugu which are blockbusters, a Naxal movement. Several.
May not be Hindi movie, but that may be in some other languages.
Blockbusters, several.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
गुड इवनिंग सर. सर मेरा नाम सलीम राव है. मैं एमसीयू नोएडा कैंपस से हूँ. हम सभी लोग यहाँ जितने बैठे हैं उनमें अधिकतर कुछ ना कुछ छोटी मोटी कोई ना कोई कहानी लिखते हैं. तो मैं जानना चाहता हूँ, 2 प्रकार की कहानियों का जिक्र करूंगा और उसके बाद जानना चाहूँगा कि कौन सी इंपॉर्टेंट होती है, किसका वजूद ज़्यादा होता है. कुछ कहानियाँ ऐसी होती हैं हमने देखी हैं कि वो पर्टिकुलर किसी फिल्मकार को, किसी अभिनेता को ध्यान में रखकर लिखी जाती हैं. और कुछ कहानी ऐसी होती हैं जो कि लिख दी जाती है, उसमें कोई भी एक्टिंग कर सकता है, कोई भी एक्टर या एक्ट्रेस, तो वो उसके लिए होती है. तो इनमें किस कहानी का वजूद ज़्यादा हो? जैसे 2 स्टेट्स थी, उसमें पहले से तय नहीं था कि कोई भी एक्टिंग कर लेगा, उसमें ये था. और एक बाहुबली थी, एक शहंशाह वगैरह थी. और मुझे देख के लगता है कि अगर प्रभास ना होते या अमिताभ बच्चन ना होते तो शायद वो इतनी हिट ना हो पाती. तो किस कहानी का वजूद ज़्यादा होता है? सर आप ट्रांसलेट कर दें.
Could you get it? He's saying that there are 2 kinds of story. What he understood is, one is you write a story by looking at the hero. That, okay, in my film, Amitabh Bachchan will be acting or Prabhas will be acting, and your story concentrate around the character or personality of that hero. There are other kind of story where you write a story and then anybody can act on it. So which one they should write? Which is more important or which is more sellable, I should say?
Young man, you know, movies are more like commercial art, we can say that. Because when writing a book, you don't spend any money. In painting a picture, you don't spend any money. But for a movie, it involves money, crores and crores of rupees. So the producer, who is putting the money, should have the confidence. The artist who is acting should have the confidence. So if you want to write for a commercial story, commercial movie, you should concentrate on the heroes only. Hero, heroine, whatever it is. You just want to make a art film or something, low budget film, concentrate on the characters on the story. Forget who is the star. That all depends whom you are aiming at.
समझ में आ गया आपको भाई साहब आंसर? हेलो, किसने क्वेश्चन पूछा था ये? आप पीछे चले गए? अच्छा, इनका ये कहना है सर का कि यदि आप एक कमर्शियल फिल्म लिख रहे हैं तो आपको हीरो को ध्यान में रख के लिखना पड़ेगी, क्योंकि तभी वो फिल्म सेल हो पाएगी, तभी वो फिल्म हिट हो पाएगी. यदि आपका आर्ट फिल्म बनाने का मूड है तो फिर आप पहले स्टोरी लिख लीजिए और उसके बाद फिर उसके आर्टिस्ट ढूंढिए.
हेलो सर. सर आई एम ए स्टूडेंट ऑफ मास कम्युनिकेशन और मुझे हमेशा से ये कन्फ्यूजन रहती है कि जब स्क्रिप्ट राइटर इतने हाई इमेजिनेशन लेवल के साथ आते हैं तो वो अपने मूवी के डायरेक्टर्स के साथ कैसे कोऑर्डिनेट कर पाते हैं अपनी इमेजिनेशन लेवल को लेकर?
She's saying that script writer have a very, very high imagination. And suppose the director does not have that kind of imagination, how he coordinates with the director or his imagination?
I mean, it's a very relevant question what you have asked. Whenever a writer writes a story, he has an imagination, he has a vision before his eyes. And he expects the director to put that imagination on the screen. It's my experience. I worked with several directors. Seldom I have reached the satisfaction of seeing my entire imagination on the screen. Seldom. It happens, but not always. But fortunately with Rajmouli, it exceeds my imagination. Most of the time exceeds my imagination. That's why they're becoming so big blockbusters.
Good evening, sir.
गुड इवनिंग सर। यस सर। मेरा नाम अतुल त्रिपाठी है, मैं एमसीयू नोएडा कैंपस से हूँ। सर मेरा सवाल ये है कि हर स्क्रिप्ट राइटर कोई स्क्रिप्ट डेवलप करने से पहले एक ख़ास तरह के माहौल में चला जाता है। फॉर एग्जांपल अनुराग कश्यप गैंग्स ऑफ वसेपुर को लिखते समय वो मिलान चले गए थे, वहाँ ट्रांसजेंडर के होटल में रुके हुए थे। तो क्या आपका भी कोई ख़ास तरह का एक प्रोसेस होता है, कोई एक माहौल होता है जिसमें आप स्टोरी अपनी डेवलप करते हैं?
Many script writers, they need a certain kind of environment to write their story or write their script. Like some may block themselves in a hotel room, or he gave an example of Anurag Kashyap that he went to Milan and stayed in a transgender hotel to write his script so that he get that kind of environment. So do you perceive any kind of such things that you need certain kind of environment to write your script?
I also wish my producer and director provide me the environment. Unfortunately, I'm always confined to the four walls. In a room, I have to write. No producers give me that comfort. I wish I also can go to Milan or New York to write a story, but nobody gives it to me.
नमस्ते सर, मेरा नाम आशीष अरोड़ा है। मैं IIMT ग्रुप ऑफ कॉलेजेस से हूँ, ग्रेटर नोएडा से। और एक प्रोडक्शन ऑनलाइन यूट्यूब चैनल है, उसके लिए स्क्रिप्टिंग करता हूँ और लिरिक्स लिखता हूँ। तो सर मैं एक चीज़ पूछना चाहता हूँ आपसे कि हम किसी सोशल इशू पे अगर कुछ लिखते हैं तो उसके ज़्यादा व्यूज़ नहीं बढ़ते या ज़्यादा उसको मतलब लोग देखते नहीं है, पसंद नहीं करते। कभी कभी होता है कुछ चीज़ें वायरल हो जाती है बट ज़्यादातर नहीं करते। ऐसे में ही हम कुछ और डाल देते हैं, लाइक किसी का डांस का वीडियो डाल देते हैं, या आप समझ सकते हैं मैं क्या कहना चाह रहा हूँ। तो उसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए और मतलब कैसे करना चाहिए, क्या करा जाए?
He's saying when you want to make a movie on social issue, it is not that much sellable, or you cannot make it a big hit. So what are the things you can include so that you can also give a message at the same time the film become commercially successful?
Sir, one more thing. Sir, इसमें ऐसा भी होता है कि like कभी कभी मतलब किसी चीज़ पे हम लिखते हैं तो धमकियाँ मिलने लग जाती है, तो उसके लिए क्या करा जाए, like मर्डर की धमकी या कुछ और? So क्या करा जाए?
I will tell you. Have you ever taken homeopathic medicine?
Yes, sir.
Does it taste like medicine?
No.
It's sweet.
Yes, sir.
But it doesn't work. So any social message should be like that only.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And I would like to, no, just a moment. Previous person who asked me about the environment, Let me tell you one thing. Suppose you have 5-course dinner. You go to a big hotel, there's a big buffet before you. You're not hungry. You don't like anything, you just nibble there. Suppose you are very, very hungry. Whatever is available there, you eat it, relish it. It looks so tasty because you are hungry. Story writing also is that hunger should be there inside you. The creation. When the hunger is there, nothing matters. Even a scrap of paper and a ballpoint pen, sitting in the chair, you can write a story. People go to places in order to, they think they can get hungry by going to the places. It's not necessary. The characters which you have created, they should haunt you. Idiot, what? We are there. Write something about us. I am here. You should involve yourself with your characters so much. You should love them. You should laugh with them. You should cry with them. That's the main thing for creating any story. Because the more personal the experience, the more universal. Don't get carried by anyone. You just imagine yourself in the situation. How you feel. Are you empathizing with the character? Are you with the character? That's the most important thing. Don't get carried away that people go such and such places to write stories. It's not necessary. A book, you should feel that hunger in yourself.
Sir, how do you overcome writer's block? Writer's block, how do you overcome it? There's a point when you think, "Arey, ab iske aage nahi ho payega." How do you overcome that?
Hammer like a marna hai unko.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, rumor reeling in the Indian film industry that Bahubali writer soon will step into the field of direction. Is it true?
Yes.
She's saying that, are you going to be a director in future?
I'm a director. I directed. And I want to direct.
But in Indian film industry,
Beg pardon?
Hindi film industry,
Yes, I want.
नमस्कार सर, मेरा नाम देवांशु है
जी।
सर आजकल हम देखते हैं कि हर चीज़ में जो फाइनेंशियल एस्पेक्ट होते हैं वो कहीं ना कहीं उस चीज़ को डिस्टॉर्ट करते हैं और उस पर अपना एक काइंड ऑफ नेगेटिव इफेक्ट कह सकते हैं, वो नेगेटिव इफेक्ट पड़ता है। तो जब हम एक फ़िल्म की बात करते हैं, फिल्म एक पूरा बिल्डिंग है, उस बिल्डिंग पर हो सकता है कि फाइनेंशियल एस्पेक्ट अपना असर डाले, लेकिन जो उसकी नींव होती है, उसकी जो फाउंडेशन होती है, उसकी स्क्रिप्ट और उसका एक जो फंडामेंटल एक स्ट्रक्चर होता है, जो स्क्रिप्ट होती है, उस स्क्रिप्ट तक फाइनेंशियल एस्पेक्ट कितना असर डालता है और कितना उस तक पहुंच पाता है, उसको कितना छू पाता है, ये मैं आपसे जानना चाहूँगा।
What it says?
Every film have some financial aspect into it. How much it affects the scripting of the film?
You see, all said and done, when you are making movie, you have to write a story depending on the budget of the producer, depending on the artists that are there. It's a commercial art, I told you. In novel, you can write anything whichever you want. But for a movie, you have to satisfy so many parameters. You have to accommodate. At the same time, without compromising the essence of the story, the soul of the story, we have to.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, when you write for a feature film, you have a lot of liberties to, develop the characters and to present your case. In a short film format, when you are writing for a short film format specifically, you have around 20 minutes to get your point of view across and also be effective. What are the things that you need to take in mind when you are developing characters and when you are writing, the beginning, the middle, the end? Are there any pointers that you can give towards making the entire presentation more effective and impactful? And I'm talking about fiction stories only.
See, in a future film, you have enough time to evolve, to bring out so many characters with their characters, conflicts and all those things. By name short film itself, the duration is short. So naturally you take an incident or one character or one crisis. So naturally, it's limited by that. There is no problem in creating a story for a short story, as I see. There's absolutely no problem. And short films are mainly meant for to project your capacities, to project your, to showcase your talent. They're not meant for commercial exhibition.
Sir, I heard that Bahubali 2 was written first and then Bahubali 1 was written.
And
Is it correct?
Nothing like
No?
that. Nothing like that.
So when you start writing a script or when you start writing a story, you start from the end and then go back, or you start from the beginning?
No, whenever I told you, whenever I write a story, it is inspired by an instinct or by a character or by a twist in the story. Taking cue from that, imagination, what would be the logical conclusion? When I get a good logical conclusion of the story, dramatic, logical conclusion, it should be dramatic. It should be heartwarming. It should be exhilarating. Then we'll start building up the in between the content.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
सर मेरा नाम वैभव सिंह है और मैं माखनलाल नोएडा कैंपस से हूँ। सर ये पहला सवाल मेरा है कि जो हाल में जो पद्मावती फिल्म आया और जिसके लेकर पूरा भारत में एक तबाही का जो माहौल रहा, सड़क से लेकर सदन तक, टीवी चैनल का न्यूज़ रूम हो या सड़क हो, सदन हो, फिल्म हॉल हो, कहीं भी, तो सर इस विषय में जानना चाहता हूँ कि इस प्रकार की स्क्रिप्ट जब लिखा जाता है, किसी धर्म, किसी जाति के बारे में जब लिखा जाता है, तो सबसे पहले उस जाति के जो जानकार हों या उस धर्म के जानकार हों, उनसे राय क्यों नहीं लिया जाता है? पहला सवाल। और दूसरा सवाल कि जो टीवी चैनलों में बहस का मुद्दा बनता है, समाज को तोड़ने वाला फिल्म कौन होता है और समाज को जोड़ने वाला फिल्म कौन होता है? दो सवाल सर आपसे।
The one thing, I'm not that knowledgeable about the backdrop of Rani Padmini, but from the history we have very high regard for her, how she committed Johar. I'm not encouraging Johar, but her determination, she should not get molested by any invader. We have high respect for their character, and I've seen the movie. I think they have never compromised with the character of Rani Padmavati. It was in a it reported very gloriously. And as I said, no movie should be made. तोड़ने के लिए कुछ भी, nobody should make a movie to break the society and caste or creed or religion basis. We should always make movies to make an integral part. We should always make movies to say, we are Indians, we are one. That should be the spirit of any movie. Never divisive politics, never.
Excuse me, sir. My name is Ragini Gupta, and I'm from IHE Horse Cars.
Just, please.
Maharaja Agrisen Institute of Management Studies. So I have a question. When we touch history through films, there are many films based on historical facts.
Yes.
How the history should be treated in films? And because I think it's a great challenge, and you are working on Manikarnika also.
I love to tell something to you, especially for North Indian people. In Andhra Pradesh, they have high regard for Jhansi Lakshmibai. Such a high regard, they think Jhansi has a surname. They don't know that Jhansi is a town, a city. So many girls are named Jhansi. And people say, hey, she's a Jhansi, don't touch her. You are going to get slapped. That much everyone says that. So like so many people, I also have a reference for Jhansi. And I started going through the history. Then I came to know that name was Manikarnika Tambe when she was born. As per the Maharashtrian custom, when she got married, she was changed to Lakshmibai. So that's why I named my daughter Manikarnika about 40 years back. So that much respect I have got Manikarnika. And when we make a movie on historical figures like Manikarnika, Chitra Shivaji, or Rana Pratap, we want to make them an exemplary characters for the today generation. They should get inspired by them. So you have to dramatize these characters. They may not have happened in their lives, but you have to dramatize the characters so that they set an example to the people, to the current generation. This is how we should live. This is how we should hold our head high. This is how we should be patriotic to our country. So that liberties we take, but we don't distort the history.
So my name is Ragini Gupta, and I'm from IHE Horse Cars. So my question is that does everybody has a skill of script writing, or is it instilled? और अगर किसी के पास ऐसी skills नहीं हैं, तो उसको कैसे जागरूक किया जाए, अच्छा बनाया जाए, grow किया जाए उस skill को?
She's asking, does everybody has a skill of script writing or not? And if she or he doesn't have that skill, and she or he want to develop that skill, what should they do?
Let me tell you the truth. Till about 25 years back, I never thought I would write a story. Out of necessity, to make a living, I started writing stories at the age of nearly 50. So don't think if you don't have the skill, you can't write. You can write, provided you should concentrate.
सर नमस्ते, इस तरफ। सर मेरा नाम शिव है और मेरा सीधा सवाल ये है कि बाहुबली को क्या हम हिंदू राष्ट्र की अवधारणा का एक प्रतिरूप मान सकते हैं? और दूसरा सवाल सर मेरा ये है कि न्यूटन को हमने ऑस्कर के लिए भेजा और बाहुबली को नहीं भेजा, इसके पीछे क्या कारण हो सकता है?
He is saying that Bahubali can be represented as a Hindu film, number one. Number two, why Newton was sent for Oscar and Bahubali was not sent for Oscar?
Recently, I was fortunate enough to go through the entire RSS literature which originated. As I said, yes, it's a Hindu film. I mean to say every person is born in India is a Hindu. If you take that context, it's a Hindu film. Please take it in that context.
Namaste, sir. Good evening. Riya Pandey from Ian want to ask you that as you directed the movie Bahubali, you don't want to play any character in that movie.
No, what did
Yes, sir. He.
She's saying that when you made this film Bahubali, you wrote film Bahubali, why did you not play any character in that? You. Why did you not play any character?
I hope one day you'll make a movie and give me a character.
Thank you, sir.
सर मैं अम्बेडकर कॉलेज से हिना हूँ और मेरा सवाल है कि जब हम स्क्रिप्ट लिखते हैं किसी भी स्क्रिप्ट को, कोई स्क्रिप्ट लिखना चाह रहा है और वो लिख सकता है पर उसे कैमरा एंगल के बारे में कोई नॉलेज नहीं है, तो क्या ये ज़रूरी है कि अच्छी स्क्रिप्ट के लिए कैमरा एंगल के बारे में आपको जानकारी होनी ज़रूरी है?
She's saying that if somebody can write a script, he or she knows how to write a script, but he doesn't know the technicality of the films like camera angle, cinematography. So is it compulsory to know all the technical aspect of the film also when you write a script of the film?
Not to that depth, but you should have a basic knowledge. And basic knowledge you can acquire by the net. You see the movie, you get the basic knowledge. You should not have in-depth knowledge, not necessary.